I'm back and I'm ready and raring to go. Welcome to Gem Collectors with Shawn. I am Shawn. I have, of course, my left and right hand woman with me, the Raven. So, have a lot planned for you. I apologize for missing last week. The explanation is longer than I want to take time for, but we'll make it up. We're going to get to as many items as we can. So let's just start right out of the gate with the comments. And then I believe we have a trivia winner as well. So the questions were, what mineral mentioned contained cobalt? So I did get an answer from Mr. Anthony on that one. He kind of called out my wording of it. So what mineral mentioned contained cobalt? Well, I was looking for the mineral that contained cobalt, which is heterogenite, but heterogenite was part of the chrysocolla malachite specimen. So what mineral contained, and he put as the answer chrysocolla and malachite, and it did contain basically cobalt. So next time I will phrase my semantics even harsher. Okay, question number 2 was, name 2 other gems mentioned that can be confused with Madeira citrine. Answer being hessonite and spessartine garnet, which I showed both of those, how comparable they were in color, and using a magnet greatly helped in separating them. What mineral did I find behind my apartment on that really bummed out day when my son was only 4 years old? I remember, I went from a beautiful home in Sky Lake in White County in the mountains, Helen, outside Helen, and had my trout pond and all that, everything. And, life had a way and separated me from it. So in an apartment, it's a great story because I think the universe handed it to me. I was just wanting to go rock hunting, a difficult thing when you have a 4-year-old to just quickly pick up and go somewhere. So I just walked down the hill behind the apartment complex, and there was a little creek. I mean, back up on the other side was another huge apartment complex, but there was just a little creek that ran in between. And went down there, and there was, the creek was no bigger than 2 feet wide, an inch deep maybe, and looked down, and there were 1-inch long kyanite crystals. That's all it really took to give me the answer I was looking for, that everything was going to be all right. And it was certainly a gift from Mother Nature, and hence has become a story of mine that I'll never forget that day. So it was very meaningful. All right, let's get to comments. So our comments are basically from 2 weeks ago. I think Karen slid one in here for this week, which is perfectly fine. And remember, you don't have to play trivia. You can just comment about anything. Comment about how much you missed me not being here. And remember, it's as simple as Shawn@gems.com. That's it. That's all you have to do. Shawn@gems.com will get your comment right to me. So easy enough to remember. Miss Karen starts off, good day, Asif, Chuck, Christy the keeper of the inventory, Latif, production crew, Raven, rock lovers, and Shawn. Hope all is well. Been busy between road trips and work, so I'll keep this short. Believe it or not, I know the answer to trivia question number 3. Yeah. Or I think she said, yeah. And that was just what we just talked about, kyanite. The cobalt question, no clue. I love honesty. The citrine question, maybe one was Chinese spessartine or any spessartine. Honestly, I can't remember if you mentioned it or not. Sorry. I'm basing answer from some of your previous shows, which I made notes, purchased, or possibly won. Good deal. I mean, you would have gotten 2, well, you did get 2 out of 3, so I'll give you the spessartine and the kyanite. And yeah, nothing wrong with that. I'm excited for Monday's show since I'll be able to watch it as soon as it's posted. And I think you meant this coming Monday, and I hope you didn't mean this past Monday. Okay, got to run so I can hit send before midnight. Cheers, Miss Karen. By the way, the last brookite you showed was way cool, and I love that you're sharing with the Rock family. Yes, and today I am giving away another brookite. It's larger, so it's the only item I'm giving away. Like last week, I gave away a couple of them, a small brookite and then that larger one to Miss Gabby. But sometimes it also depends on the achievement level of the question. So if it's, the what am I is always one to strive to get as many as possible. And I think I would tend to probably award a bigger prize for those that do well. Um, and granted, getting that Brazilian Brazilianite, that was a shocker. So, uh, and by the way, keep watching the show. You might see it again. So let's see. I enjoy those brookites, and you're going to get to see more of them, all of you, by the way, because I spent the last couple of weeks cleaning more of them, and boy, is it an effort, including some of the larger ones. So it's an ongoing process, but wait till you see what I uncovered. Miss Barber says, "Hi, Professor Shawn, Raven, GSN crew, and the whole Rock family. I was happy to hear that your Uvarovite finally found a home." Me too. When I get a chance, I'm going to try for that sweet little Tanzanian purple spinel to go with my raw crystals and maybe that labradorite pendant. Both excellent choices. For sphere collectors, the Death Star Carnelian looked really cool, and that one did sell. I believe it sold like in the course of it being presented. As to the trivia, heterogenite was the mineral that contains cobalt. Hessonite and spessartite garnet could be mistaken for Madeira citrine, and it was kyanite that you found in the creek behind the apartment complex. 3 for 3, well done. Just a word on buying minerals shipped from overseas locations. Oh, this should be interesting. I had ordered a few inexpensive samples of beta quartz and Hedenbergite included quartz for study via Etsy before the $800 no tariff minimum had been allowed to expire. That was where they had that exemption at $800, the de minimis, whatever they called it. My orders were all canceled. Wow. And my money refunded because of the uncertainty over tariffs. So be aware that what goes on in Washington is strictly down into everyday life and might spoil your plans. Thankfully, there are no tariffs in Shawnland. Absolutely not. None at all. And if there were affecting me, I just slash the price because I don't have a cost in most of my items, even though technically there is to replace them. But when you have been collecting for 50 years and have not bought a new item in 8 years, your memory on what you have and stuff sometimes, you forget. It's part of your own personal collection, and it didn't. Cost wasn't important because I didn't intend to sell them. Reality of life, when you fast forward decades and decades later, you realize, oh, they're just going to be filling my grave with these if I don't, sell them while I'm doing this. So it actually gives me great joy to know where a lot of these different special pieces wind up. And, um, they're not so much that it can't be handled by other people, shipping is possible without worrying. In other words, they're not $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 kind of specimens, which in the world of mineral specimens, I tell you what, to get a specimen, anything really less than $1,000 is a good deal. I mean, you can get a lot for that. But when you go to these collectors' booths, which most of them are serious, and they have out their display of their crystal specimens, you end up just drooling, wanting them all, but all of a sudden when you see the prices of them, it will knock you back in a hurry. And then you're basically looking at a museum that's for sale to you. Because, for me, and maybe not for many other people, all the prices are out of range for me to purchase. So therefore, I'm just looking at museum items, which are fun nevertheless. But it's like some people can look at those shows of beautiful mountain cabins, and you end up feeling really envious. Or, I do. I end up wanting what I see, and then feeling like, wow, I have nothing in life. So for me, sometimes it does me better just to look at my own beautiful home, my own beautiful collection of mineral specimens, and be really happy with what I have, and not long for anything greater than, except what I may find on my own, which includes that gold. I'm going to get it one of these days. Okay, so Miss Barber goes on to say, I got a new side hustle doing mineral research for a friend, which is delightful and intellectually fulfilling. Even had to resurrect my spreadsheet skills from 20 years ago. This old puppy is keeping young, doing new tricks. Woof. Happy Mother's Day to those to whom it applies. Be well all. Miss Barbara from Brooklyn. So, inexpensive samples of beta quartz. I hope they are inexpensive because I'm sure you've researched enough that beta quartz, in case you wondered about it from last week, I didn't really talk about it or mention it because beta quartz isn't stable at room temperature. So, anything that you see may be labeled beta quartz is a paramorph of alpha quartz, of the original quartz. So, in its form, when it was able to be a beta quartz, which is a high temperature quartz, which is like above 575 degrees Celsius or so, how it forms, it won't maintain that internal composition. So it winds up to be a paramorph of of beta quartz, and it's just a regular quartz now in a different crystal system. So I'd be interested to see what kind of beta quartz or how they represented their beta quartz being for sale, because it should be represented as, you know, a paramorph and not beta quartz per se. So that is heady stuff if you're doing that kind of research. So good on you. You are going to really learn a lot getting into that level of neat, unusual descriptions or investigations. That's fun. I like to see for you to take a mineral specimen and break it down into all the different minerals on it, like I so often have to do. That is what really is fun and challenging. Mr. Anthony in Massachusetts says, hello all, been a little crazy around here lately. I don't even know if this will make it in time. Yep, plenty of time. Trivia, boom, boom, boom. Getting, well, he's the one that said malachite chrysocolla specimen regarding which mineral had contained cobalt. Well, I guess the mineral per se as a whole, the malachite chrysocolla specimen did contain cobalt by default by having the heterogenite as part of it. So anyway, I slid you in there as a correct. Then hessonite and spessartine and kyanite. That beautiful carnelian sphere was sold. Didn't even have a chance to buy it. Said sold while you were describing it, but I tried anyway. A couple of things I wanted were gone. Oh well, there's always next time, right? Eyes down, because that's where the rocks are to be found. I hate when people don't get what they want. I wish I could satisfy everybody the multiple times that you want to buy something. The same item I have. Hello, Rock Family from Miss Cindy in Pennsylvania. Great specimens. The educational segment's the best. This Saturday is my favorite rock favorite. This Saturday. I thought I was your favorite. This Saturday is my favorite rock mineral gemstone crafters metaphysical. That's where you can leave me out. Books, oddities, swap. Cool. Already told the hubby I'll be there for hours. They even have some food and, most importantly, coffee. Wow, sounds fun. Getting all the trivia answers correct. I wish you all a wonderful week. Cindy in South Central Pennsylvania. Here's a link to a YouTube video about vivianite and dead bodies. I never knew this was possible. Yes, and I was just explaining it to Andy, who works in IT, and how that happens is easy to understand. It's has to do with iron and phosphorus. So the body contains both. So in decomposition of the body, as long as it does not, as the oxygen supply is cut off. That's why I told you that they're found in the bog specimens. The corpse that they find and have called them the bogmen in England that for one reason or another either buried or fell in the bog or whatever. But they oxygen in a bog is just completely cut off, and the decomposition with the iron can form vivianite crystals because that's all it takes is a no oxygen environment and the presence of iron and phosphorus. And as the very interesting link said, also the bodies that they were finding from the missing in action from the Vietnam War, when the planes would go down and crash into the jungle and would be covered up sometimes in the swamps, and instantly no oxygen, the presence of iron from the plane, phosphorus from the body, boom, you have, you know, well, I won't say the other um, words they have for Vivian and I that is um, not really appropriate, probably. But Mother Nature will find a way if elements are present, and you can see that in the time frame they can form in 40 years, 30 years, 40 years. It's one of those crystals that can grow quickly. I have one I have not shown before. I'm going to show. It was really the favorite that Raven and I kept, but I decided I'm going to feature it today. So we're going to get to that. Okay, so that is Miss Gabby. We have Miss Gabby, though. Well, I'll read it. Greetings, one and all. So happy to have another ornament for my tree and piece of chickenite. So she also won a really thin cut piece of smaragdite with ruby crystals in it, a lot of them. So Miss Gabby, make sure you put it under a fluorescent light, and you'll be amazed to see all the beautiful rubies. And it's one I mined myself. I sliced it myself, and I signed it with drilled it, put a silver jump ring on it, and nobody bought it, which was quite unusual. So I thought I would give it away. And if things wind up magically where they are supposed to, and Miss Gabby happens to have a tree of Christmas ornaments, basically the ones that Summer, Raven's daughter, painted, incredible likenesses of specimens that she actually has, and she has those hanging on a tree. And so this will hang on a tree as well, and a perfect addition to it, or it could be hung in a window and let the sunlight pass through it, and really is beautiful stuff. So then also, though, because I want everybody eventually to have one, but you have to still win them, I am giving away Miss Karen, who is so kind to send me well, we call it chickenite because it looked like fried chicken. It's all you could see was clay encrusted specimens or whatever we did underneath, and then underneath it were some stunning quartz and brookites. So this week, the winner that gets to have one of these stunning specimens is Mr. Anthony in Massachusetts. Miss Gabby, she goes on to say, if you have other drilled slices of minerals of a similar size, I would be in the market. So let me see what I have on that. Some more very nice goodies this week. Have a couple I'm thinking about. I can't think long these days for sure. Me either. Have won more than my share of prizes lately. A little embarrassed to say, so we'll only be participating in the trivia silently for now. And all of you, if you don't want to, you can still participate in the trivia. You can just opt out for winning anything. So it's still nice to be able to hear the answers and be part of it. Would still love to see Miss Raven's infamous Uvarovite specimen. Thinking since she is on the set, maybe she will let you just show it for a minute. She can always whack you over the head with a rock or something if you get out of line. LOL. Best to everyone, Miss Gabby. Yep, I think I'll be able to talk her into doing that for all of you. So that's why I announced the winner already. I knew that Miss Gabby, since she has done well on the What Am I's and whatnot, has won it, and she opted out. But you could have still answered the questions just for the fun of it. Mr. Anthony, let's show you what you have won. And this is a beautiful, beautiful crystal conglomeration of brookites. Now, brookite is a polymorph of rutile. So it is the same mineral chemically as rutile, but it forms in a different crystal form. And you can see some incredible iridescence on some of these crystals, and they're often bipyramidal in shape. You can see all these wonderful black crystals, and let's get a little closer look in and see how well this does. There we go. Look at that. Look at that. And then there was one up here on there is a cluster of them right there. Look at how pretty those are. Look at how well formed. And then they also, look at that, some of them have a beautiful iridescence on the surface. Let's look around on this one. Look at that. You can see, look at that reflection of a blue color. It's such a kind of an indigo black. And then look at the quartz crystals also that are on this piece. Look at that. There's a beautiful whole crystal. And look at that as part of that quartz crystal. Look at that. So that quartz crystal growing around the brookite, that's a beautiful, beautiful example right there from Magnet Cove. And then look at this side. You have a whole lot of other specimens of the brookite and the quartz. So thanks to Miss Karen, it actually even, as you can see in the description, crediting Miss Karen with the find and the year that she found it. And certainly worthy of that credit. Look at this. It's wonderful smoky quartz crystals. And then this is what makes it so much fun when you get it and you start looking close. Because in the smoky quartz, right in those all those little indentations, in many of them, or etched areas, you have brookite crystals growing in them. And how fun is that to look at? Look, that is so fun. And so get out your magnifier and, oh, there's iridescence on that one. And that is a specimen that you just cannot buy. I have not seen these. And for someone to mine it themselves, that is a real treasure. So thanks to Miss Karen, and well done, Mr. Anthony. I'm going to tuck that away for you. We'll be back with the start of the show. All right. One thing I did want to cover as part of our educational segment, it is rare that we can ever get something dug by somebody fresh from the ground, really, not long ago at all. Miss Karen. And I want to show you, because all you saw before was what we nicknamed chickenite. It was nothing but mud, and tremendous effort between my steam cleaner, between different acids, strong, and then something like CLR, which is another kind of rust remover, iron oxide remover, and my ultrasonic, which helped greatly. If without those, I think they'd still be covered in mud. So I want to show you just some of the other pieces that I have recovered. And here's one of them. You can see by my hand roughly the size of it, and some wonderful, look at that. Look at how beautiful the shape to that brookite is. And you get even some iridescence on some of these. Look at the smoky quartz. This is a magnificent piece. And, you know, you can see the quartz crystals here. Miss Karen did really well in digging in something that you can't really see even what you're digging. That almost has a scepter-like base to it. Look at the quartz crystals here. Now, look, speaking of quartz, let me show you. Look at this one. That is a adorable quartz crystal just all on its own. And so, you know, though Magnet Cove is well known for its brookites, you have to remember that the brookites all pretty much are found in quartz. So you get the opportunity to mine for quartz as well. And a lot of people really like that. This specimen, and as I told Miss Karen before, anything she sees, she's welcome to call back, and I'll be happy to send it back to her if she wants her specimen back. Look at the beautiful angle, and I guess, let me catch the light on this, because this is, there we go, like a skeletal growth on the outside, multiple step. There we go. You can see that in that. And then look at this wonderful cluster of quartz crystals around the base of this. This is a really neat piece that I don't really see much by way of, I wonder what that dark is inside in there. What if, look at that. What if the quartz, which does happen, enveloped a magnificent brookite on the inside of that? But I would leave it the way it is. The way Mother Nature left it is the way it is intended to be. But look at that stair step kind of growth like that. So that is beautiful. And wow. Okay. So now let me show you. Here's another one. Look at that. Now there's smoky quartz. which is amazing smoky quartz in the formation I see them in. Very different habits compared to the way you normally picture quartz crystals to be. And then this is scattered with various brookites around it, but the showpiece is that quartz crystal. I am getting to a piece here that you're going to be amazed. Now, this we were looking at this crystal right here. Look at that. That's a it really looks beautiful and a bluish color. Then look at the surface of that. How unique that is. There's a lot of quartz that ends up to be etched, and in those little etched pockets, you can see brookites. Look at the brookites on this. Look at that little one. See what I mean? You have to look carefully. And what this is a quartz crystal that has been etched out. Look at that. And you can go back in with like a dental pick and work some of this iron oxide out even more so if you want. Sometimes it's actually attractive as a contrast to the piece. Now, I'm getting around, okay, look at this one. This is, wow, has so much going on with it. You can see, of course, and these aren't just like broken off. What they are, they're complete crystals, but that have been etched. Another hot solution coming through here, dissolving away portions of them, or the crystal just grows like that. Look at this other side. Look at how well formed some of the quartz are around this nice single one that is etched out. And then you have additional brookites scattered throughout. Look at this brookite on top of the quartz. That makes an attractive look. And look at the unusual, that's why I said the quartz is in a different habit or form than what we normally think of it to look like. That's pretty neat with that one prominent crystal right there. Now, look at this one. Look at this one. I'm going to end up having to give some of these away to all of you out of my desire to share. But boy, it sure would make it easy to just want to keep them all. This is an amazing, amazing specimen from that, especially when you go to comparing it to Mindat, which is the pretty much the end all for the litany of specimens from all different locations. So go to mindat.org. It is a reference site. I donate to them because it's a very worthy site of what they do, the husband and wife team. And so I'm thinking actually of posting some pictures up of these particular specimens because there hasn't there's not, these compete really with some of the best of them, especially when you're talking about the matrix specimen. And let me show you another one here that is just dynamic. This one. Look at everything from the incredible quartz crystal cluster right here. As we look across this, it is a work of art when you really start looking at what you have. So this is a magnificent quartz crystal, but over the top, another generation has grown, and you see beautiful, beautiful little black brookites everywhere. And then let's turn this so we can see it on the side and oriented probably. Maybe the way the pocket was going, I don't know. Look at those crystals, all while pointing inwards into the rug. Then look at these striated ones and the brookite there. And then as we turn this over once again, wow, look at this. So here is a quartz section, but look close. Look close. This is when I get out a loop so we can see. You see the little black, what looks like specks are amazing crystals of brookite. Let me use my other hand. Sorry about that. Motif. Could I? Okay. Okay. I thought my hand was getting in the way. Look. Oops. My hand. There we go. There we go. Let me show you. Wow. Bingo. There's the shot right there. Look at those. Oh, that is thrilling. That gets my voice going. Wow, that is a more than scattered, smothered, and feathered and tethered by way of the brookites on top of the quartz. Look at that. That puts a whole new level of aesthetics, desirability, value, if you want to look at it that way. Look at that. And look at that doubly terminated quartz crystal right there, terminated at both ends. Now that is, oh, there's another little one right at about 2 o'clock from it. And if we get to looking, I am sure there's more, but that is a beauty right there. This is an amazing piece, and that was all just in this area that you might have thought wasn't much there. That's why just get out your magnification, and look at all that. Look at all that, and then ooh, look at that large. Wow. Oh, and then what is that? Look at that raven. Can you see that? Look at that reflection in there. We had thought there was some chalcopyrite on a piece earlier, but it turned out to be iridescence on a piece of the brookite. I think that's what's happening there too. But that you can see is really kind of unique. I hadn't noticed that before. Wow, look at the two colors in there. If I didn't know better, that looks like real guard and orpiment, but they're not found at this location. This is a magnificent specimen all the way around. Has so many things that you can absorb yourself into looking at. Now, maybe I did save the best for the last. Let me show you something that uncovered itself as I got the dirt pushed away. Look at this. You can see by my fingers the relative size of these crystals. So let's look at this together. All right. These are compared to anything that was in Mindat. This specimen as a whole is world class. It is, there's nothing, it's really as good as any representation of brookite would be. Now, as I was looking at this closer, and you can already see it, let's look at something, the red reflections. Look at these red reflections. Now, look at also the termination. Isn't that, okay, what is this reminiscent of? It looks like the rutile crystals from Graves Mountain. And so remember, rutile and brookite are the same chemically. They are similar in that respect. But what happens and what can happen in the Magnet Cove deposits is a paramorph. In other words, this is rutile, a paramorph, not a polymorph, but a paramorph of brookite. So I'm not sure, but that is one thing that can occur with crystals like this, because this does not look like the standard other brookites. So I am not sure about the red reflection. I don't know if that is something that is strictly with rutile, or I know because I'm not familiar with the Magnet Cove and I just uncovered this piece. Also, the goethite, which I believe is the black, which is iron oxide, and limonite formed with this, but it's it's stable. I can touch it. I've scrubbed it. I've ultrasonicked it. So beautiful, beautiful coloring for contrast. Look at these neat little crystals tucked away like this. And now that looks like brookite. The red reflection, I'm just not sure about on that one. Now let's look at this one. This one, see the termination looks more like brookite. And I do not see any red reflections coming out of it. So wouldn't that be amazing if we had a brookite paramorph right next to a real brookite? In other words, rutile. You see the different way the terminations are. I'm not sure yet, but in what I have read so far, paramorphs are real common for rutile, and those definitely look like two different crystal formations. And if that would be the case, that would be a real treasure to have the two. But there are definitely other brookites on here. So out of all the brookites I've looked at, this is the only one that has had that red internal reflection. The only time I've seen that is in those rutiles from Graves Mountain that are similar. So do a little more study on that. So that is the one I'm going to finish with because that is an outstanding specimen, Miss Karen. Well done to you. All right, let me put these away and I'll be right back. Take a look at this. You have not seen this particular specimen before. This is the one that we were kind of holding out to keep for ourselves, but we'll see what we wind up with. We decided to show it anyway. This has it all going on. So remember, I already just talked to you about vivianite. Vivianite is the mineral found with quartz, and also it's found in fish tanks due to iron content often, and phosphorus, of course, is one of the things you don't want always in your fish tank, but they form nonetheless. Now, when they form in something like a fish tank, it's in they're like microcrystals, nothing large or anything. But in other words, the combination of the hardest is only 1.5 to 2. So that beautiful color you see, very tourmaline-like, forget it. You can't get any stones cut from it. It also has such amazing perfect cleavage that it will split very easily. Now, these are found in what was a bog off the Amazon tributary system, and the gentleman got a claim for it, so you see the name of the claim. What they are found in is these pods, these voids that are in the swamp. Now remember, most bogs and all, the key is no oxygen. And from the iron and the phosphorus minerals that are in that type of environment, it forms inside these voids of amazing crystals. And they're clear. They are absolutely colorless. But as soon as these vugs, pockets, voids, whatever you want to call them, are opened up and oxygen hits them, they will turn greenish to a bluish tint. And so you're not going to see any clear ones. It just chemically, unless it was in a vacuum somehow. Now, let me just show you a little more about this particular specimen. Look at the colors on this, and you're going to look at the blues. So you can see blues reflecting out. Look at those other blues. And those blues are not a reflection from anything in the studio. They are actually coming out and away from the uniqueness to this crystal. You can see green and blue at the same time right there. Now, these little, this is your siderite. These are little botryoidal siderite spheres and half spheres, because you get the negative impression on them where, of course, if one pops off, it's going to leave. That, which is pretty neat. Siderite, remember, that is your iron carbonate. So it is related to calcite, which is a calcium carbonate. It's related to rhodochrosite, a manganese carbonate, and so on. And look at it. So I think the siderite is a vital part to having a specimen that really represents this particular mineral. Now, the other one that represents it very well is ludlamite. Ludlamite. And so to get the two together is even additionally harder and more rare. Now, ludlamite forms and grows similarly in that type of environment, and it is a limey color green. And you can see a ludlamite crystal right here. Look at that. You can see the difference in the color green and the formation of the shape of it as well. So there's your very nicely pronounced and aesthetically attractive ludlamite crystal right there on this really very beautiful display angle. Look at that. That's really neat. And there was only one other specimen I think I had that had ludlamite on it, and it was the other really nice. I think the most expensive one. I think that inadvertently got sent to Miss Barber, but all things happen for a reason, and she kept it. It was a beautiful beautiful piece with I think 2 ludlamite crystals on it. So these little siderites can fall off. Don't worry about them if they do. That you can see one back there did, and that's just kind of cool. Put it if they do, put it in your chrome box as Raven calls it. All right, so let me just backlight this a minute for you because really it has stunning greens and blues and is very transparent, and you can um, see that wonderfully in this. And as we look at that, that's what we were looking for right there. Look inside that. That is a beauty, a beauty, and a real rarity. It's, if it weren't for this one deposit, Vivianite, you can see the blues, would be very difficult for anyone to have because nice representations of the specimen are just very difficult to find. Beautiful, huh? All right, so we'll just, there's that ludlamite. There's a good picture of the ludlamite right there. Oh, and that, I knew there was another one. Thanks so much, Latif, for coming over. Look at that. Look at that. There is the other one. 2 wonderfully placed ludlamite crystals. How attractive is that? So look at that. You can see, of course, the siderite and then the negative, the little hollows where one was. So this represents everything that the Vivianite pocket had. It had the 3 minerals that were found: the siderite, the ludlamite, and the Vivianite. And a wonderful, wonderful crystal this is to represent all of those minerals. And beautiful, beautiful. I have a great pricing opportunity on this for you. And that's one that you really don't ever have to upgrade from. And it's like I said, a difficult mineral to find and get a hold of. Price on this, I have already never shown it before, but applied a serious discount to it at only $118. $118, and look at the size of that in my hand. Just a very, very impressive piece to own and have in your collection. Beautiful at many different angles. All right. Now, let me clean the glass top off, and I'll be right back. Well, if it's an owl, it's coming from my own personal stock. This is some amazing high quality nephrite from quite some time ago. It's, I am personal friends with the claim owners, the mine owners, who have had trouble because what they call First Nations have all the claims. So it's the indigenous Native Americans to that area that actually these nephrite claims are on. So they have to be negotiated, and that's been an issue. So, but they were able to negotiate on their claims for a few more years, and this is old stock, so no tariff situation applies to it. This is one I have had. It's a beautiful, beautiful 3-dimensional carving that has more detail than you normally would see, and you can see it in my hand, how large that is. So some old stock. Owl is like my totem animal. And good nephrite, the price is not inexpensive. Always is. You gotta pay when you get that kind of good color and quality. This is only $118. Only $118, and don't have another one. Don't have another one. Let me show you next. I have item 1188824. 1188824. And what I'm going to show you is something going from that color to colorless. Look at this. Yep. When I show you what I'm going to next, you're going to love it, because it is a mineral that is allochromatic, meaning it gets its color from impurities. So when it is colorless, that is actually the rarest form that this comes in, and it is Goshenite, named after Goshen, Massachusetts, where who knows how they ever first discovered clear beryl, colorless beryl. Now remember, this is blue, it's aqua, green, it's called emerald, pink, it's called morganite, and yellow called golden. And look at that. That is absolute colors. So stunning. Then look at this muscovite. You have beautiful muscovite mica here. And then you have schorl, which is black tourmaline. And look at that crystal going right through there. Look at the, they call it a phyllosilicate, muscovite mica is. And phyllo meaning leaf, leaf-like, because look at that, those layers that muscovite is known to form in. A really nice representation of muscovite. And then you have also feldspar crystals. Look at these feldspar crystals. So this is a one-stop pegmatite specimen, because you have your major minerals that form often and associated with a beryl crystal. Look at that wonderful, wonderful six-sided classic shape to it, and it looks really facet grade in some areas of that, but that crystal going all the way down. Now here's the really neat thing about this, is there is another crystal, secondary crystal. It almost looks like it becomes a look at those crystals right there, a scepter when it narrows down like that. But I think that is just part, I'm not sure. I think that's just a secondary crystal coming in there, even though I see light reflecting on the same plane, which is kind of cool. So there's lots of fun to be had on this one. And you can learn a lot from a specimen like that. I have this, it's already been sale priced. I can't believe it. I'm going to mark it down one last time, because after that, there's no way it can you can find it cheaper. Let's make it only $58. $58 for that. And that is really stunning to have all that going on with it, and for it to be for me to come down to a price like that. Now, what I have next, one of my favorite minerals altogether, item 1251825. 1251825. And take a look. Look at this. See what I mean? Why it could be a favorite. The clash of colors, or maybe not the clash, but maybe the way they go together. Yes, sir. Is stunning. This is 1251824. And yep, let me check that. Let's see. 1251825. Sorry about that. I changed the last number on you. There we go. That's it. All right. Now, look at this specimen. You have two minerals that historically, going back, some of the longest known minerals that have been used for all kinds of different purposes. Egyptians going way back, azurite and malachite, both can be crushed up and used for everything from makeup to dyes for coloring, and amazing, the frescoes that they did way back when, that they are still revealing them to this day, are still retaining their color. And they did not have a paint store to go to. They created those colors from natural elements, and you can see how. You can get easily black from goethite, you can get limonite, all the colors from limonite, and then azurite and malachite. Now, a lot of you may not know, it's called a streak. Something may be one color, but it will streak. You have to do it on the back of like a ceramic tile. It can have a streak of a totally different color. A streak, you just take the mineral and you scratch it against the tile. Of course, do it in a place that it won't damage the crystal, or if it's a really nice crystal, you don't want to do it at all. But it's also one of the ways that gives you information to figure out what something is the streak of it. Now, the colors of these aren't different. Whereas, like, you can have black hematite and its streak is actually a rust red, that kind of thing. Now, I love this because you have well-formed azurite crystals in here. And then look at the botryoidal formation of the malachite. And look at these pockets. This, and then look at over here. Look at how attractive that is. Wow, this is stunning. It's the combination of these two together is why you see I have so many different specimens of them, because they're some of my favorites, color combinations, with also the different forms that they can be found in. This is remarkable, remarkable, and I have such an amazing opportunity on this. Look at how in all these little voids and open areas, the crystals just grew. How beautiful is that? And when you see the actual crystal form of azurite and then see a pseudomorph where malachite replaces the azurite, you can then know the difference between a crystal of malachite or a crystal of azurite. And that's how you know that you have a pseudomorph, because malachite just does not form in the shape that azurite will form in. Look at these colors. Look at how vibrant they are. This specimen is remarkable. Look at that. Look at the form of that one right down there. I mean, that looks like it's a fine facet grade sapphire. Isn't that beautiful? Look at that down there. I mean, it looks like there's a transparency to it. So I have this priced at a ridiculous opportunity, and that's one that, again, would be a keeper. I'll make it sale priced, make it only $54. I know, I know. $54. That is a treasure. Now, I have next something I haven't shown anyone in a while. I have not shown these particular specimens at all. Let's take a look at the first one. This will be item 1263925. 1263925. And I can slide this one right in here. That is, look at that, one of my favorite named minerals, because it makes sense. And by that, I mean cavinsite. Cavinsite. Cavinsite, by way of the spelling, tells you exactly what is in it. Ca for calcium, Va for vanadium, VAN for vanadium, and Si for silicon. So this beautiful blue mineral is made up of calcium, vanadium, and silicon. And then look at those crystals. It is on a bed of stilbite. It's from a well-known quarry. And then let me show you, look at how all the little pockets in this volcanic rhyolite type of matrix, look at how they have formed in all these little areas. That is an amazing formation. And I love zeolites. I love zeolites. Now, Something else that you're going to hear if you do much with cabinsite is another mineral called pentagonite. And pentagonite and cabinsite look real similar. They say in the sunlight, you pick up a little bit of greenish color tone, but I wouldn't get too caught up in trying to discern whether you have a pentagonite or a cabinsite, because it's really difficult even for those in the know. So when you see that, I thought some of mine might be pentagonite, but I'm just calling them cabinsite because I know that that is the more for certain judgment call on them. Now, let me show you just a close-up of these. We have Chuck at the helm now. Look at those crystals. Look at that. Now, talk about a color that is mesmerizing. Let me get a little more light on that. Look at that. Chuck, isn't that amazing? Mother Nature doing it all. It is. It is. It's just breathtaking. Just breathtaking. And I just wish it was like hard enough and the crystals got big enough to facet it, because that would be like no other color. Look at those. Look at that clarity to that one back in there. Wow, 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 wow. This is how much fun that you can have at home with your mineral specimens. Don't just, get them, open them up and look at them. No, get light out, get magnification out. This one, when I tell you the price, I mean, you get so much bang for the buck in it when you're getting cabinsite. $28. Only $28. Now, I'm going to show, I have 3 of these I'm going to feature, which I haven't. I love that shirt there, Chuck. You got it going on, dude. Wow, that is hippie man all the way. Yeah, no. Someone like me just has to have a shirt like that. Everybody else see. That is Haight Ashbury right down all the way. All right, next item is item 1264125. 1264125. Take a look. Take a look at this. Yep, I have another one, and this is a beauty. A beauty. Look at the combination of crystals. Now, it is possible actually to have pentagonite and cabinsite in the same specimen. And you see this greenish kind of tint. This is, I think, what they're kind of referring to. And I will remove that. But is it really green? Not enough for me to ascertain for certain. But I tell you what, that is neon blue against those still bites. And let's look at this up close. Wow. Wow. Oh, wow. Look at that. That is so cool colors. Calcium, vanadium, and silicon. Who would have thought, to get that color blue? And that's just it. You would think it would be something that creates blues, like titanium and iron in sapphire. But the trigger mechanism in this, vanadium, it would have to be. I'm not sure, but that is a gorgeous specimen. And the way they, what would be the word? They prep these specimens. You can see they have to be. They're cut out of the rhyolite, out of the volcanic matrix. But that way, when they do, the saw cuts open up little vugs, little air pockets, and in about every single one, look at that one. You can actually see all the way through that, which I didn't know. You can see all those. That's pretty neat. Look at that, all the way through. So by them doing that, you can also display these in many different angles, the way they will do those. So I think that's pretty neat. And remember, that is clear still bite, which you're familiar with. That is on price on this one, only $48. Only $48 on that one. Now, the last one I have, and I have had these, oh man, I have had them maybe 15 years. These were some of my favorites I just kept out. So let me show you probably the favorite, and you'll see why in a moment. Item number 126 4025. 126 4025. And oh boy, look at this. Yep, you haven't seen one of those. You have not seen that. Yeah, that I have in all the years of offering these, I've never had one like this big to show. That the cabin site was that extensive. And now, when you look at this, they're not crystals that have been broken off. Maybe a couple at the very top, but this is the way they grow out in florets, and you can see that with some of these. And there we go. As Chuck takes us in close, look at how attractive that is. And so look at these growing along some of the rhyolite. And wow, that is, look at this. Look at this crystal right there, bridging from one to the other. That's what tells you that, you know, if this would have been through a lot of disturbances, it would have been broken. So you can see you have just an amazing display of cabinite. And yeah, another little mineral there you might check out. Maybe it's a little different color of rhyolite. But let's take you in closer and let's just look at, let's say, the bridge. We'll call it the bridge. Let's see. Look at that. That is cool. See, it's neat to hear. It's neat to hear when I hear, you know, because Latif is at the controls and he's like on the other side of a sound barrier. And it's neat to hear him say, huh. And Chuck is on the camera and for him to comment and like him too. So, you know, since I don't have, you know, any other audience in front of me, like the doing the live shows, they have the sales reps and things. So I like to hear even the guys' comments when we show you something different and unique. This is certainly that. And then looking down in there as Chuck can take the focus, you can go right down into that opening and see additional crystals down there. Yeah, there you go. Right down in that. Yeah, this is where, oh, look at the other, there, look at that.
Sorry? There we go. Further back.
Yeah, even, oh, I see them even further back in you are. Wow. Wow, that's when I wish I was, oh, wow, look at that. Let me hold this steady. Hold on, let me see if I can get more light back in there. Yeah, there we go. Look at that. Look at that depth of field. We are in there. That is so cool. You can be assured that those crystals have never been seen by anybody else but us. That we're the only one that has ever looked deep inside that. And let me tilt it up. I see some blue at the bottom there. Look at that. That's how, and you can do that just with your eye and a magnification and light, and you can look down into those amazing areas, deep into this piece. This is a striking specimen for cabinite, and out of all the ones that I have had, this is the only one that had this extensive of a non-stop run of cabinite instead of just little localized blooms of the material, let's say. So I have this still priced at a very reasonable opportunity. Take advantage of it at only $78. $78 on that. And
He said it, but that color is amazing.
isn't that color something? I mean, it is. I don't know. It almost looks like a copper sulfate that you can grow crystals from. And I can understand the color with copper, but to get the color out of calcium, vanadium, and silicon, that's what really is unique. And then on that bed of clear white stilbite, really, really unique. So, okay, now let me take you from that and let me show you another. This is a combination opportunity. It is item 126 3425. 126 3425. And I have not offered a opportunity like this before. So this is going to be the first time. I'll give you the first rough piece that you're going to be looking at right there. Okay. Then let me show you what goes with it, a before and after. Take a look at this. Here, look at this. Yeah. So we're not selling the sphere separately. We're not selling the piece of rough separately, even though I imagine someone will take them the way they are. If they don't, maybe I'll eventually separate the two, but I think it would be doing it an injustice if I did. Now, once they're yours, you can do anything you want. You cut the sphere in half and you have two big cabochones. There is so much to talk about these. Okay, here's one of the really fun things right out of the bat. Okay, there wasn't enough to put all the information in there. Fluorescence. The rubies fluoresce a stunning, beautiful, bright red, of course. But a lot of you now know, I was just looking to see, still difficult to pick up fluorescence. We'd have to kill the lights. But anyway, the other thing that's really interesting is kyanite. Now, with these particular spheres, these are from the Madikeri area of India, where a lot of your ruby and fuchsite comes from. And when it does, there's a really unique other mineral that often forms along with it. Now, you remember corundum, which is ruby and sapphire, is Al2O3, 2 atoms of aluminum, 3 of oxygen. Kyanite is also an aluminum mineral. So, and oxygen. It requires some of the same elements that ruby does, or sapphire, corundum in general. Therefore, the two can and are often found together. In this case, it is very unique because you have a rim of kyanite that circles, look at that circles the crystals of ruby. See that on almost all of these. Some it's a little bit more green, but we know green kyanite does exist. Look at the blue. Look at the blue. Look at that. Look at these incredible crystals. So you have chromium based fuchsite, which is a chromium muscovite mica. You have chromium that is coloring the ruby red and causing the fluorescence. So you have an intermingling of minerals that when you get down to the chemistry of it, it makes sense. It makes sense for them to be together. Look how big this sphere is. This is a wonderful polish. Here's the thing that's amazing to me. How do they get the polish of the so much softer fuchsite, which is a hardness of like 2 to 3, and the hardness of corundum? Yeah, you carving yet?
Not yet.
Not yet. The hardness of the corundum is a hardness of 9. So now, remember, the Mohs scale is not a, it's pretty much meaningless. It just gives you an idea of 9 to 10, that diamond is a 10 and harder than corundum that's a 9. The reality of it, and it's different between every one of the Mohs hardness minerals, which starts off talc, gypsum, calcite, fluorite, apatite, feldspar, quartz, topaz, corundum, and diamond, 1 through 10. But it's not exactly fair or even, because diamond is in actuality 4 times harder than the next closest one, which is corundum. Same thing between the other minerals. There is different levels of hardnesses, like some are 2 times harder, 3 times harder. So the scale gives you just a general idea. You need to look deeper into, they have a more advanced scale that represents the actual difference in hardnesses. And it really comes into play as a gem cutter for what I need to know as far as polishing and what will help speed the process up or slow it down, depending on what I'm cutting and how I want the outcome to be by way of polish, matte finish, etc. So, but the Mohs scale is just a generality. To get an even polish across all the hardnesses, it's quite remarkable for them to do as well as they did in these spheres. Look at this. You have these oceans of kyanite. Isn't that beautiful? Take these to the closet, and you, with a fluorescent light, you will have the time of your life. uh, with the fluorescence part. Okay, so that's the sphere. Let's show you where it came from. It came from, now I sprayed this one part, which of course, you know, the Raven can't stand for me to do any of that. But just to give you the wet look without, and I did this like years ago, so it can be always taken off. But if you, just in general, if you ever want like a wet look, just use like an enamel spray or acrylic spray from a can. And, you know, you can always remove it, but it will definitely help give you a nice look to the mineral specimen. So that, and I always tell you when I call it my Shawn's cheesy cheap polish on the slices that I do. More coats you get, sometimes you get an amazing, really fine finish to it if you desire that type of thing. Now, look at this specimen. Again, you have kyanite around the rubies. Now, if you take, if you're like Anthony, who's got a diamond saw, or where's Charles out there, and want to slice this, you could slice some amazing, amazing slices of ruby and fuchsite and then cut cabochons from them. Or you can see these lumps, these are going to be rubies in there, and there's no way you can avoid the rubies in this piece. You can see just how extensive they are. This makes a fine, fine specimen in its own right. But this and the sphere really tells the story if you're wanting to do a before and after. That is, look at that. That is a lot of wonderful minerals. Now, oh, if you could, please, sir, remove the onyx base from the description. And just want everyone to know that, yes, you will get one of Shawn's cheesy cheap gem cup stick bases. The fancy onyx base is no longer available, but that would have just added a tremendous amount to the cost. No, I leave it up to you because in actuality, the onyx base relative to the size of this sphere was too big. I didn't like the look. So, oh, here's the other neat thing I want to tell you about. The white muscovite right here. That's what the white is. We didn't cover that. So we know the green is, of course, fuchsite, which is a chromium type of muscovite. So it always doesn't have that. Look at that. So it is so neat. This is almost like an island, maybe a volcanic island with the red. Then let's see, blue lagoon, and then you have the white beach sand. Yeah, Shawn has been on an island too long or something, I think. But really, white muscovite. There's so much interesting geology going on to create this piece, and then again the fluorescence. Look at these crystals and how numerous they are. Beautiful piece. You get everything you see, including the cheap, cheesy plastic stand, for a remarkable opportunity. Truly remarkable opportunity. So let me make sure I gave you the right, let's see, for Indian ruby, Wow. Okay. There we go. I had the wrong bag. I was wondering what was up with that. I can't believe that. I don't know how I came up with this opportunity, but I'm going to go with it. It is, somebody better grab it. I have both of these for only $187.
What?
I know. Sorry, I know. Oh, I know. See, hear that? Exactly. I don't know how I came up with that. I should have changed it. I know. Well, that's why you at least don't get the onyx stand. Forget that. I'll take away the plastic one next. Yeah, I know. I wish, you know, yeah, I know. Latif's gonna give me a hard time now. Now we could totally undo this, but we don't do that here. We shoot this show like a live show, and we could back up and restart, and I could name another price other than the $187 I said, which would totally make sense. The sphere alone, or this piece alone, should be that. I don't even know how I did that. Why I did that. I know. I know. Boy, I'm regretful. Well, let's see how bad we can do on this next one. Item number 1265025. 1265025. Now, since you're all uh, and I even showed Andy this. Andy is in IT, but he had to come down and pick up a pennant from me. And he couldn't believe it because I was able to show him the fluorescence of this next piece. Take a look at this. Now, this comes with a little bit better stand. Woo-hoo. You get that when, you pay the big bucks. And look at this. This piece is incredible kyanite and ruby. Yep. Now that you know and have seen how kyanite and ruby form together, it explains this. Now remember I said kyanite fluoresces, not to the extent that ruby does. This piece is real unique because everything you're looking at is one of two minerals. It is corundum ruby, or the blue is kyanite, and both fluoresce. So this is like a huge glowing marble of different intensities, because remember the kyanite will glow red as well. And this, being that fuchsite is so much softer, the green material in the other one you saw, you actually could see differences in the polish where it's called undercutting. One will cut a little faster than the other when there are big differences in hardnesses, which there was. Kyanite and corundum are much closer in hardnesses, and that's why, look at the finish, you get a much smoother polish, albeit some of it not as high gloss, which can occur when you have softer materials. You can get a really nice high gloss finish, but this is a much more even polish to this. And that's not even a point I should be talking about, but as a lapidary, that's what I think of first. I don't even look at the minerals. I think of and look at the polish and how well it's been executed, etc., which I should not be that picky. You can see everything from pinkish to reddish colors in the ruby, and this is old material, and from the well-known Karnataka, and withstand means that plastic one you get, and you can flip it up the other way if you want as well. So it is truly a work of fluorescence, especially if you have a fluorescent collection, like Mike, our retired principal. Where are you at? This is impressive. 50 millimeters. Remember your metric system, 25.4 millimeters to an inch. Very important to remember that. So at 50 millimeters, I helped you out and put in the inches as well. So this piece, you might find them offered, but there's a difference in quality, and you have to know that to recognize when you compare something that looks less expensive or being offered as less expensive. There'll be reasons unbeknownst to you, but someone like me, more familiar to what to look at, like simple things like the polish, the evenness of the polish, how concentric the piece is, whether it is pitted compared to other comparable spheres, these kind of things, even if whether it has other minerals that cause it to undercut in those areas and the surface not to be, look at this, you can look at this picture, look at the spot on the light, look at how even that is. This almost has an equator. So those things, it does. This looks like a planet. It does. It does. It looks very much more like a planet. That other one looked like a solar system. It looked like the sky looking up at night. Price on this one, I tell you what, it's another great opportunity for someone at only $144. $144. And so the kyanite and the corundum together, you have a lot of corundum, a lot of ruby in this. And to get this one and the other one, be the first to do that, because what a display that would make, both being a combination of ruby and kyanite together. each telling a different story with a different look. I love that. Now, let me show you item number 1240, 124. 1240, 124. Here we go. Now, those of you, if you missed out on some of the Graves Mountain material, go back a few weeks. I think we still have it on memo and available. So if you missed out on the Graves Mountain show, go to the week before I skipped or so, and you're going to see some amazing, amazing material. Here is a piece that I haven't featured for you before. I didn't get a chance to last week, but I'm going to right now. Take a look. Let me get a little stand, even though the stand doesn't come with it. No, these prices, the stand costs $1. Look at this. Look at this. Now, here is, again, I did not do this, but someone else has. It looks like it's been sprayed with Shawn's cheap spray, but I wasn't the one to do that on this particular one. And I love how thin this piece was cut and how well it shows the crystals of lazulite. And then the quartzite. Now in quartzite, you see that? That is little tiny pyrite specks you see. Little tiny pyrite specks. And old material. Look at how thin this is. And then you can see, even on the back, I can tell you that's an old label right there. You can see what it looks like when you don't spray it, but you can always remove that spray. Cabochones can be cut out of this material and look beautiful, beautiful. That is, and can be displayed in multiple different ways, a classic, beautiful specimen and representation of Graves Mountain lazulite in the quartzite. Now remember, it can be found in a quartzite combination like that, or by itself, or it can be found in a material that is not so pyrite oriented. Beautiful, nevertheless. I have an excellent opportunity on this one. Sale price this guy at Ready Set, only $38. Only $38 on that. And the cabochones that were cut. Or think about this, Miss Gabby. You know, John, how good he is with, I have seen with his lapidary work. Drill it. And here is another ornament for you, going along with around the same lines of what you already have. And this is perfect because of it being made in Georgia, so to speak. And the other one you got was one I mined myself. This was mined by my friend Chet. So it only went from the person that mined it to me to you. That's it. And also the smaragdite with the ruby piece, that was mine just across the border in North Carolina. So your Christmas tree can have some very localized minerals in it by doing so, and having that really very attractive slice on the Christmas tree that I believe you keep up year round, which I most certainly would. I know Raven and I would definitely keep a Christmas tree like that up year round. All right, let me show you. Here's another beauty. Now, you may have seen this a little while back in the What Am I? I think we're going to do a What Am I today, by the way, but I'm not sure. Item 126 4225. 126 4225. And let me show you first. All right. There it is in the gem tube. Now, I am going to, let's see, take that out after I hand off this goodie to the Raven for her to wrap carefully. All right. Now, look at this. Here is that stunning specimen. And you know how I love garnets. The other, my part of my other collection was not the Made in America, and then the focus on the family of garnets, which is my birthstone. Look at this. Here is a remarkable specimen. So you have graphite on the back. Let me get my pointer. You have a diopside crystal basically right there. So that's a diopside crystal. You have little graphite crystals, classic. Now on these, I have also found tanzanite, zoisite crystals attached to them because, huh?
I would say.
Yep, absolutely. Look at those irises in this. Look at that. Beautiful irises, actually. Um, I love this. It's a cluster of dodecahedron garnets, and it is from the Miralani Hills, which is, of course, the same place that tanzanite is mined and found at. Look at this. Look at this. Very well defined. And this would have been how it was attached to the matrix somehow, but with the graphite, I mean, it almost could be a floater. I don't see really any broken or attached points on this piece. And with the graphite, and at some point, this could have broken off from the wall. You see the flat side to them, then a secondary growth of this other mineralization coming in. If I could only read those little crystals' history, and what they have been through geologically. Now, let me just show you and put a piece of white on here and just show you how beautiful the color is. Boy, that is perfect. That didn't need any adjusting it whatsoever. That was just a stunning opportunity because it also fluoresces. That you may have seen that material before. It fluoresces a beautiful orange color. So that's one way you can separate it from other minerals is by way of the fluorescence. And whether it is magnetic or not, remember, because if you're comparing garnets and you're comparing an andradite green garnet to this green garnet, they're both garnets, both similar hardnesses. There's ways to tell between just using a magnet and using a black light. So easy goings there. All right, price on this. These, relative to what, a almandine crystal or whatnot might cost, might seem more expensive, but apparently the way I price things, it doesn't matter. They're just inexpensive, period. Look at that in my hand. You can see the size to it. Nice size. Beautiful offering. I have this for only $87. Only $87 on that. And what a look at the fine. Yeah, see, look at those crystal faces. That's what you want to see. And there is no damage to the crystals. I don't see, and which crystal collectors are the really high-end people are so picky about those kind of things. This one would pass the muster for pickiness because they really are in excellent display shape, and an opportunity there for very, very little money. That put up in an auction, the price would just run away, and it would be well beyond what I'd ever consider wanting to pick something up like that for. But what I'm offering that price for you, grab it while you can. It is a fantastic opportunity. Now, so we're talking about garnets, and before that we were talking about phosphates in the Vivianite. We were also talking about aluminum in corundum, aluminum in kyanite. Well, I have a really interesting crystal here. It's one you've seen, but one you don't probably know much about. Item 1264325. 1264325. What I'm getting ready to show you is a sodium aluminum phosphate. If I said that, would it make sense to you? No, nor to most anybody else. Sodium aluminum, well, it could be called a hydroxy phosphate. They have all kinds of funny different descriptions. Discovered only in 1945 in one area of Brazil. Hence, it got a very useful name, Brazilianite. let me show you the colors next to one another. And these are Mother Nature. Look at that. Look at that. Beautiful green next to a wonderful, wonderful, really it's a chartreuse yellow. So I'm going to take away the white and we'll show you these colors against the black. Look at that. Look at the wonderful irises. Yeah, you know, no longer do inclusions that create that reflection aren't so much of a of something undesirable when they create those wonderful play of colors. All right, so we're going to take this one away, and it really has a wonderful green color tone. You remember that kind of garnet, the Savorite garnet, it belongs to the grossular family. Now this has no family. It is its own mineral and chartreuse color. Look at that. And the really neat thing I like about it is the termination of it. And when you look straight down, it actually, there's a sister, what they call a sidecar crystal on here. So you have this other additional crystal on this. And you can see it's actually almost really a twinned crystal to it. But when you look straight down and you take that crystal off, what you're looking at is a four-sided crystal with 6 terminations at the top. Now on this back side, you can see where it's not a break. It's just where and how the crystal formed, maybe another crystal laying against here. But I tell you what, this is a very, like Miss Gabby said, she had gotten another one from me some time ago, and she said it was not anywhere near the quality that this one is. So this is a, for Brazilianite, it's certainly the nicest crystal I have. And let me put it in here and we'll play with the color for a moment. And I'm not going to come across another one. It was amazing that Miss Gabby actually knew it. That's what really allowed her to win. That's what I want to show you. That's the color. It really is. And I was so impressed that I decided to offer this for sale in case she wants it or someone else wants to pick up a really interesting, beautiful crystal that you normally don't see this quality of. I have no idea of really how something like this is priced in the market because it's just, look at that. There we go. That's beautiful right there. And here, I like, and the suspension box in this case worked really well. Wow, that does work really well. You can see the sidecar crystal. Heck, with taking it out, I should have just shown it in here. You can see it so much better with keeping my ugly hands out of the way. Which you wouldn't believe how much I had to polish my nails for this show because I'd been working with that chickenite, with that rough, which of course will just tear your fingernails up. So unlike some of these other namby-pamby hosts that might not do anything related to have anything to do with rocks and minerals throughout the week, that's all I live and breathe and work with every day. I love it. It's my hobby. And so if my dirty fingernails are a product of that, well, I do the best I can. And after that, please accept my apologies and my understandings. So this is from a well-known claim. And as a matter of fact, I knew instantly the claim that it went to when I saw the crystal formation and the color of it. So for in the world of Brazilianite, that you're able to kind of tell from that's from the Telírio mine. I don't speak Portuguese. That's I do speak Spanish, so that's my best you're gonna get. All right, here we go. Forms in the monoclinic crystal system. That's why you get the elongated crystals like that commonly. And again, it's a sodium aluminum hydroxyphosphate, something like that. But remember, it is, you know, all those other minerals are minerals we've already talked about that have formed other minerals, you know, the aluminum in corundum, the phosphate in vivianite. We've talked about salt, that's your sodium. Anyway, price on this is unknown because I, again, don't have much idea how to price it, but I do know that it's rare and unusual to be able to find something. And this is the classic kind of form and color you want. $138 on that. Only $138. Let me show you next item 126 4425. 126 4425. Now, some of you saw this one the other week in the What Am I? Take a look at that. Yes, they grade jade officially, GIA even, by way of type. So this, it's considered untreated and not having been anything else done to it, they call it type A jadeite in the world of jadeite. And this is Burma jadeite with that true, real color to it. And I already checked it. It's not, which you can actually take a Chelsea filter often and check for doctoring, creating color with, if you know what to look for, and if you have comparative stones. All right, now many times in a boulder of jade that looks jadeite, I should say, big difference, there will be a small little piece or areas of a slice that will be this color, what they call the imperial jadeite color, that beautiful apple green jade. And let me bring down the light and just show you some of the, look at that, the translucency of the piece. There's no other chromite or black specks which you would get in nephrite. This is a really genuine apple green jade piece. And why they probably cut it in the marquee form was because that used up most of the green they were working with. Think about it. If you cut an oval, you lose the end of it. You have to think of what they were looking at with the rough. And I'm sure that this shape took in the majority of the green that they were working with. Very little is ever wasted when it's that color and quality. So if you want a really neat comparative piece at an amazing bargain, $28, you can grab it. For $28, you can have a piece of type A jadeite and of the valuable color that you can use either to make a piece of jewelry with, or again, like I said, to use it for comparison to other pieces. Okay, now item number 126 5125. 126 5125. Let me show you, since we were talking about this item, I actually have this. Now I'm going to do this right in front of you, and it's always kind of scary because if it's wrapped up in something like this, it is to protect it. So let's see what we have in here. It could be pieces. No, it is still one piece. Look at this. Look at this. And this was one of the nicest blue-green pieces of the whole bunch. You have not seen this piece. I have not shown this piece before. And look at, this is the Vivian I talked to you about. And don't worry about little splinters that come off. And one thing you don't want is to get a splinter of this. Imagine that. Yeah. That would not be cool. No, that would not be cool. Look at how flat that face is. So you can see that this would cleave or split perfectly. And that's how you get all these other shards. I guess shard is a perfect word with what would come away from this. But the blue and green color, this is a very attractive specimen because it also has, look at here, also has your siderite down there, which is, I like having representation of the other minerals that are found because it's part of the story. It's part of the formation. And remember, the iron, siderite is iron carbonate. So you have all those things present. Look at that green. That is a very expensive tourmaline green. And then, though, look at the blues in this as well. So this is a special piece, and I protected it by putting it in here. So price on this guy, let's see. Let me make sure they got a screenshot of it. I have a amazing deal on this. $48. Only $48 for that. So if you have not gotten a piece of the Vivianite, take advantage of that one for the money. That's a really good value. All right, let me wrap that up. I'll let that sit there one moment while I grab another item. Oh, yes, this next item, item 1264725. This next item has a story, and it's historic. And I will tell you why in just a moment. Okay, so this next item has a story going back quite some time. Here you go. And there was a discovery at one time in California, of course, a major discovery of tourmaline, and that has been well documented and etc. In 1972, they found what they called the blue cap pocket of tourmaline, where the tourmalines were all, and you can still look these up, the ends of the tourmaline crystals, and we're talking California here, the ends of the tourmaline crystals were blue. The tourmaline queen and the tourmaline king mine, both very, very well known. Now, when I got this, it had, and I got it as an estate item, and it had the mention of the origin of the tourmaline queen. Now, that's as close as I can come to assuring you that it's from there. It's just a note that was with it in the estate, and it said tourmaline queen, blue cap pocket, 1972. So the rest of the story, well known for tourmaline lovers or gem lovers in general, because they were pulling out beer can size crystals of of tourmaline. And in 1972, remember my newspaper article that you saw before? That was done in 1974. And I was just thinking 70, yeah. And I'd already been doing this for a couple years. So I remember a Rock and Gem article and Lapidary Journal article on the discovery of the pocket. And it was quite the read. Even then, I remember, because it stood out to me when they had pulled out beer can size crystals. So this is a perfect representation of what the crystals look like. They were pink, and then the ends of them were blue. And this is just, I did not facet this one. It was one that, again, like I said, came across in an estate with other stuff with a label. Of course, it's not a real high-end stone by way of color and clarity, but the origin of it makes it really special. So if that's the case, that this is from the tourmaline queen mine and from the blue cap pocket, it's something really special, really special. So I'm just pricing it as I see it now and not adding value for that, but this is a really neat gem. And in the description, I do have the tourmaline queen mine and 1972, just a question mark next to it. But I feel certain that because of the blue and the pink combination like that, that it was cut from a crystal from that pocket. So someone's going to get a really neat stone for just the value it would be, regardless of whether it's from that unique and desirable moment in time. So price on this, let's make it only $38. Only $38. That's like $20 a carat. And a bicolored tourmaline of those two colors in itself is worth that. I have had this for decades, so there's every possibility that most likely that description is the real deal. I always like to think it was. Now let me show you something cool. Item 1264925, 1264925. Those of you familiar with Georgia and Georgia quartz and Georgia amethyst in particular, pay real special attention to what I'm getting ready to show you that's only one of. It is from the Jackson JXR. If you say JXR, and Chet, the guy I work with, the Quartz King of Georgia, he's the first one that he said he actually coined the abbreviation JXR for Jackson's Crossroads. Jackson Crossroads. I have an item that was carved from amethyst from the Jackson Crossroads, and I think you'll find it rather special. Look at this. Look at this guy. How about that? How about that? Beautiful. Now, I was on the Travel Channel on one of their episodes, Best Places to Find Cash and Treasures. I've been telling you I was going to get you a link to the individual show. If you go to Golden Gem Grubbing up in North Georgia, they have me plastered on their wall from that episode because it was the pan for your own gem mine that I was cutting stones for. So the production team for Travel Channel went to Jackson Crossroads. They mined amethyst, and they brought it to me, and I cut an amazing stone for them during the show. I probably got 15 to 20 minutes of the 30-minute show. It was you get to see me actually faceting. So if you want to do your search, it ran for 3 years. This Travel Channel series. It was called The Best Places to Find Cash and Treasures. They even went down into old outhouses where a lot of people would throw away. That's where, like, your glass bottles and things, they just filled it up with other refuse. So they also went to old mines, and one of them was Jackson Crossroads, which of course is known worldwide for its really fine amethyst. So this didn't come from what they found that time. This came from another batch of amethyst that was mined from there. And you can see the bicolor nature to it. And this is so well detailed. It's actually for a little horse, has some really amazing detail. And I love the placement of the amethyst in the front hooves and of the head of it. So really old stock from a very well-known mine, and very desirable for that reason. This guy is an opportunity, especially if you're an equestrian. Only $48. Only $48. And the clarity is beautiful, and the carving is very well detailed, and you can see the size of that. That's a special piece from a very well-known locality, especially if you're a rock hound in Georgia, you know that well. Now, let me show you item 1230824. And here is a piece that goes along with the item number. Yep. Let's see. Item 1230824. Make sure that's right. That is right. Okay, now let me give you this. Okay. Look at that. Look at that. That is your Madagascar demantoid garden. Now, this is a really, really nice piece. It's got a very large crystal. This was mined in 09. I even know when it was mined. I've had it for quite some time. And it would make a really fantastic piece to go alongside your Beckley Iranian demantoids for a comparison piece. Look at the size of that. Look at the size of that. So I guess you want this one on sale. It is a phenomenal opportunity. These crystals, look at how good a shape they are in. There's no nicks. This would be really a rare opportunity by way of a crystal collector when they get picky about the crystal faces and any damage. That is exceptionally clean. And really some beautiful irises actually around there as well. your opportunity on this, I have discounted it ridiculously. So this will probably be the last chance you're going to be able to get it at a discounted price. After that, it's easily worth well more than the only $148. Only $148 to get that one right now. And how cool it would be to have that alongside some of those stunning specimens that I had shown, which I will give you another opportunity on. Item 125-8625. 125-8625. Now, if you, I wish it would have been, I guess 4 or 5 weeks ago, if you could have seen the comparative we did on, and the picture of the mine of where they mined these amazing. Now look at this. So this is a demantoid, and to put them side by side, it's a little unfair to the poor Madagascar because the color of that is exquisite. But that's what it's about by getting different origins. That's the fun of collecting origins of mineral specimens, because you get to see the wide variety and difference between them. And at first, there was another location in Iran when they first found them, and it's about 300 miles away from this location. And they first tried to call them uvarivites, but under chemical analysis, they were found not to be uvarivite, which is a true chromium garnet. Whereas these are androdites, but they are colored by chromium, but not chromium is not part of their chemical makeup. It's still an androdite garnet. Look at that beautiful emerald green color, though. So we're going to take this one away, not to confuse you with the information that you see up there now. I just wanted to show you, as always, knowledge, which is when you get to compare them like that, that's a rare opportunity to see the two side by side. Now, when the mountain, it is literally a barren mountain, completely arid. There is no trees on it. I'm not sure the elevation, but it was quite a ways from the top of the mountain, about halfway down. And in 2019, we did a before and after. You could see these little bit of ground that was scraped away and where they had dug them. Well, fast forward to, we had a picture of 2000, I think, and 24. 5 years later, the same picture of the same mountain. And all it was, it looked maybe relatively, maybe 50 or 60 more feet along the same, what would have been the same outcropping. And that was it. That was it for any kind of digging. So what it told me, it was great, because it told me that they're being dug by just the individual miner, the artisanal miner that is willing to walk and hike up this barren mountain to work. There's not even a rock to hide behind. There's not a tree. There's nothing. It is, how did they ever even found that outcropping? I don't know, but I wish it would have been me, because it was only discovered in 2013. Look at this. Could you imagine finding it? Look at that. And this is in fantastic shape. That crystal is a wonderful example. And then you also have diopside. Diopside is the lighter green that you see throughout here. Like, so all of this, this is little crystalline material right in here. This is a wonderful look, actually, when you magnify it into that, which, you know, I am just too tempted to do. So let's look into that. Yeah, look at, they're all diopside crystals. Look at those those are diopside crystals. And look at how well defined the crystals actually are. So it's just not a color green. Those are androdites surrounded by well-formed diopside crystals. And what is hiding back behind there? There could be some facet grade, or how big does that crystal actually go? That is left to be determined, but that is in excellent shape. I don't see any nicks. That crystal is a collector's crystal indeed. This also has calcite and pyrite on it, and I won't leave, yeah, here, I'll help you out. There's a little bit of pyrite right there. So I'll let, and there's calcite right there too. So you can see that easily. That's a neat extra boost to the piece as far as I see it. Okay, I'm going to put this on sale. Why not? Let's do only $98 on that. $98, and that is an exceptional value for what Latif's over there not happy with me at all, and I don't blame him. I don't blame him. But I tell you what, if it doesn't sell at that price, it's coming back home. I have hung on to these, and I just now recently decided to offer them. Then I can, well, easily decide to keep them. Remember, they're part of my garnet collection, and they are near and dear. Try to find some more Iranian pieces like that, and with the embargoes and all the other things we have against Iran, it's so funny when I went to the dealers and trying to discuss these, not a single one of them said where they were from. One guy said, who was Armenian, he goes, well, they're from a country that's close to Armenia. Another one said, oh, it's from a country next to Turkey. Well, Turkey borders a lot of countries. They were being so vague because they were afraid if they used the actual origin that it would kill the sale, which, for some people, maybe it would. For me, it's like, no, that is from a place that's really difficult to get any minerals from. I'll take them. And I took everything I could. I took everything I could from the dealer and have hung on to these and now decided to release them. Let's look at that 125, 8825, 125, 8825. And, if I hang on to them again, it's just going to be to my benefit because there's only one way of value of something so remote as these come from. You saw the picture on the side of the mountain, didn't you? You didn't mean? Wow! If you saw how remote, just Google Beckley's Mountain and you'll see that deposit will probably come up. Okay, here's the other one I'm offering at. All right, so here's the two side by side, and you can see this one has wonderful calcite, another great crystal back there, but look at how perfectly formed that crystal is. Now, you may see a difference in color, but when you actually illuminate this one, you get to see, look at that intense, beautiful green, emerald green color as well. So it's just a nice saturated, but look at how perfect the crystal faces are. And the real crystal collectors put a lot of value and to that crystal being undamaged like that. It is makes a big difference in their desirability and whether it's something they'd be interested in or not. In many cases, the really picky clients who have the money to be picky will just wait until they find something better. But in this case, this is a beautiful, beautiful jewel. Here you go. This goes with the Madagascar one. Look at this. Look at that. That is about as good a shape as you can get. Now, they say that these are trapezohedrons with dodecahedral modifications. Huh? I think what that means is, see this little diamond shape? That is the modification because you have these other sides. And I'm thinking that because I try to compare it to trapezohedrons and dodecahedrons. And wow, look at how perfectly formed that one is. That is really an exceptional crystal. That's one almost worth popping out. You don't know what the backside is, but that's really, really a special piece. Look at the calcites on this. And all right, I have a discounted opportunity on this one as well. And one-time deal. Let's make this one only $98 as well. Only $98 as well. All right, let me have a minute to put these up, and I'll be right back. Oldie but a goodie, and I don't mean oldie by way of length of time I've had it, even though I've had this quite some time. I am talking about where this is from, the Wheatley mine, 1860s to 1920s. After 1920, that was it. This specimen going way back. Pennsylvania, this is part of my Made in the USA collection. Pyromorphite. And I just saw pyromorphite, one of these specimens being offered in an auction, and I won't even tell you how high it went. It was nuts. I love this piece for several different reasons. For one, the color. I love, of course, bright colors in mineral specimens. Now, look at the other side. Now, you just saw me drag this across the felt and nothing came out. I wouldn't do it on the siderite, on the Vivianite, but look at, nothing came off. You have these well anchored crystals that looks like they just crumble right off. Now, here's the interesting thing about these. So pyromorphite is a lead chlorophosphate. So lead, phosphate, and chlorine make it up. It looks like celery. It has a base, and the very top of the crystals, and I'm going to show you, look like they bunch out like celery or something. I don't know, really unusual. So let's look and see if we can't show you that. Let me bring my light in and around, and okay, there we go. Here we go. All right, look at the termination of some of these. There we go. You can see a bunch there, and as I let me find another group of them. We'll flip to the other side if we can't find it. Let me get this angle better. There we go. It has some of the most unusual, unique crystal forms. Here we go. There we go. Can you see the very top of the crystal? There's a bunch of smaller ones that almost look like a pineapple. I guess a pineapple would be another description. And let me flip this over and get in a little closer and be able to show you. Look at that. There we go. There we go. Look at the tops of these crystals. So the base opens up, look, and then you have, great going there, Chuck. Good job. Those like I don't know, top of a celery or celery, is that the best description? Look, and I found that enthralling. Look at that one right there, dead center, and how it just blossoms into this batch of, look at, there's three of them, smaller crystals. So when you get something like that, just don't look at it from a eye view perspective. Get magnification on it. Now, this is a really old time specimen. These are hard to get. I think there was an article just done on the Wheatley mine I read somewhere. Very well known mine going back a long time. Produced a lot of lead and molybdenum, minerals that were difficult to find, especially during that time period. You know, the world wasn't in a world economy. So what the United States had, they pretty much had to, work with what was available. And in most cases, remember, 1860, it was a civil war. It was a wild, wild west. There's no, except for gold mining, but there was no real processing. There was no ability to maybe you could crush the metal, but even processing gold, much of it had to be sent back east, which of course there were your famous train robberies and how many movies have been done by robbing the stagecoach for gold or the train, which in real life really happened. And that's how some of the armor companies are around, like Wells Fargo, to this day, due to the private protection of gold shipments. This is anything closer in the east by way of mining was a benefit, but there was not much gold left in the east. It all had to be dangerously shipped from the west to the east. Price on this one, here's a opportunity. If you want a rare specimen, here it is. I have marked it down significantly, well below what it should be offered for. So I recommend taking it before. This one's too pretty just to not have back on my shelf. Here we go. Last opportunity on this. Final price is, wow, make it only $68. $68, and you can have a piece of history, basically, a real piece of history. Now, let me show you some real jewels I have here. How much? Okay, yep, we got. Let's take a look. Item 125, 2825. 125, 2825. We're going to go through some gems, and I am going to do some serious pricing opportunities. Look at this. Look at this. Green sapphires. Australian, beautiful Australian green sapphires. And then beautiful rubies, Burma ruby. Burma rubies. I've had those jewels for a long time. And I've been, of course, in Burma. And I guess I shouldn't say, of course, many people haven't been there. It was when I was in Thailand, and quite the story to get into Burma. They know you're going to come out when they make you turn in your passport. As a world traveler, you never are supposed to do. Never give up your actual passport. That was required, and we wanted to be able to go into Burma far enough they wouldn't let us take the car. This was up in the Karen district where they were having a civil war, and still are having problems, of course, and always will, the way it's set up. But they only let you walk to the nearest town, which was down this big mountain into teak wood cutting country. And there's a whole nother story. I'll tell you about that another day. But it was quite the experience because, yeah, in the general market, there was a lot of different little gem dealers set up, even for the tourists that are walking into town from the mountain up above. I remember it was a heck of a walk back. But anything red was called ruby. Anything red. So if you're the average tourist, you would be taken. They had everything from synthetic to genuine, but of course, garnets. Very inexpensive, and everything's ruby. So you're without your passport. You're in a very foreign country ruled by a military junta. Are you going to sit there and argue with the vendor and tell them that what they're saying isn't really what it is? No, that's not the way you do business in a foreign country. You go with the knowledge yourself to where whatever they say it is, you go along with it, and you buy what you know it to be. In other words, you pay the price for what you know it to be. So every offer that I haggled down to was accepted. There was nothing I didn't get that I didn't want. And I bought everything from true Burma jadeite to true Burma ruby. These didn't happen to come from that exchange, but I also bought garnets that were sold as ruby. I bought tourmaline that was sold as ruby. It was spinels that was sold as ruby. And if it wasn't for my knowledge, I would have been taken on every single one of them. So it's truly buyer beware, and knowledge is the key to when you, and that's why I do the what am I? Because all I had the opportunity, I did not have a fluorescent light, I didn't have a magnet, I had only my eyes, and I did have a loop. But you don't always want to pull out a loop because they can take that as you're trying to scam them. In other words, you are smarter than they are, and you know that they're lying to you, kind of thing. So you don't always want to put them in that position. Just a few notes on my experiences. I came out of there, didn't spend a lot of money, and I have neat treasures to this day that I'll never sell from that experience. These I got from a really good friend of mine, an Australian dealer that did business in Thailand and Australia. And so that's why I know exactly when I bought them in 1992. My son was 4 years old, and I took 4 months out of a year to travel the world and go to mining centers all over, including Lightning Ridge, and beyond, 6 continents. Here's a chance. I'm offering all these now at a big, big discount. Since you didn't want them for $48, here, I'm just going to see. I'm just going to test everybody. So if these, let's say Miss Cindy, if these came up at your little thing you go to, your yard sale, and they were $38, would you consider that a deal? I would hope that you would, because if you were, you'd be missing out. And if they were offered to me in Burma, that parcel for $38, I would have bought them. That is a certainly worthy of it. You can see they're matching stones, 3 sets of matching stones, $38, and a corundum story to go with it. And this will as well. Item 1240, 424, 1240, 424. Again, these would have been sold as rubies. Look at that, ruby. I still ruby, and that's all I say, ruby. I still remember to this day. And here's Tanzanian rhodolite. Now, the reason why I like these particular rhodolites is because they actually look like what rhodolites should look like. They are have that purplish tint. Now, a lot of Tanzanian rhodolite I've seen sold is red, and you know, rhodolite is a combination of about 30% almandine and about 70% pyrope. So it's a blend of the two. It has a specific it has a specific refractive index, but variations of the percent of the two can make that variable, so it doesn't always apply. But one thing that will apply is whether they're magnetic or not. And it can tell you, look at that. Look at that. So it can tell you the difference about whether they're tourmaline or glass or something, you know, not what they are. Right there with the magnetic portion, you can almost, if you do it enough, start being able to tell roughly how much almandine by way of percent. Is it all almandine, or is it all, most by how strong the magnetic attraction was. That certainly was, to me, at 30%, at least kind of opportunity. Beautiful, 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 beautiful matching garnets here. And I have these, well, I'm just going to show you. This was the price that was actually on them, $128 as the maximum price. And then I made it $118. And so when you're looking at value at 4.70 carats and you're looking at true nice rhodolite, you're talking about $30 a carat. That's absolutely worth that. But since you didn't buy that, I won't go to another market. I am just going to drop the price and make those three. Let's see. Here we go. Which doesn't make sense, but but that's me. $68 for the three. $68. And wow. Making those $23 or so each. And the real deal. The real rhodolite. The actual color of what rhodolite is supposed to look like. Now, let me show you another opportunity. Item 124 4625. 124 4625. And here is, let me just put these out. Let's see what we have. Okay. Oh, I love these. I love these. And they are the actual genuine deal here. From Mogok, Burma. Mogok, Burma. Look, sorry about my tray being a little dusty there. Look at these. I mean, they almost look faceted. They are so perfect. Look at that perfect facet grade crystal. This is a opportunity, a crazy opportunity. Look at this. Look at that. Genuine pink. Beautiful clarity. Octahedron or bipyramidal. Look at this. The color. You know how much a spinel would be worth faceted in that color range? Look at that clarity. I am amazed that these are available. Look at that orange pink facet grade. And you can see a little bit of rounded edges. That one may have been tumbled down a stream, as is often the case. Then look at this one. Look at this. And let me show this a little closer to the light. Look at that clarity. Not only is the color fantastic, but that is a facet grade crystal. Look at that. That is an amazing crystal. Wow. So here is 4 unique colors. Beautiful. And mined in the 80s. I know the history to these. So here we have, it'll be my final price on these, which is pretty ridiculous. But I'm going to make them all $68. You get them all for 68 only dollars. And that is a true collector's collection, covering the colors and the clarity. And you can see the alluvial, which most of the Ceylon sapphires and Burma sapphires are alluvial. In other words, they're mined from a stream, have water action. That's where you see some of the worn edges to them. Take advantage of that price. They're not going to be less than that. Just not going to be. Okay, here's something fun. Item 1206-424. 1206-424. I should keep these around just for the heck of it. I don't know, give them away or something, because that's what I'm getting ready to do, is give them away. 1 second, let me put these up. Okay, here you go. Let me show you. I am offering these. All these are tanzanites. All are tanzanites, and all have been faceted. And if you ever wondered what they do with lower quality tanzanite, they facet it. They still cut it. And some of the colors here are gorgeous. I mean, look at that. If you're setting something in silver, bezel set, I mean, there's nothing wrong with this quality. This is a very usable quality. If it wasn't, they would make beads or something else out of it. So you get all 5.30 carats. I mean, even at that, they should be worth $10 a carat. But oh my. Okay, so how about this? $15, $3 a piece. 15. I know exactly. I know. I know. I want to see. No.
You could just give stuff to me and show.
Oh, is that what mushroomite is? No one told me before. I thought it was chickenite, and it was actually mushroomite. Here's why. I had these for $18 and no one bought them. So what's the difference of $3? So okay, all of you listening right now, they're laughing at me for making it $15. Well, the difference between $15 and $18, that's not enough for you to have changed your mind and not purchase them at $18. $18 is ridiculously cheap, So at $15, that's it. I'm done. Anything less than that, I'm keeping them. They can fill my grave with them at that price, because that's stupid. I'm not calling anybody listening stupid, but I'm calling the price stupid. I'm calling what I did is stupid. So we'll go from there. Let's see, where was I? Item number 125-3125. And then, I'm going to show some animals and some stuff behind me while I still got time. Okay. I know the time frame I'm working in, guys, so no worries there. Look at this. I love this piece. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. This is stunning. This is stunning. It is item number 125-3125. Look at this. Talk about sculpture. This is Mother Nature sculpture, except the reality of it, it goes this way. It is a scepter. Now, a scepter is where the base of a crystal is narrower than the top part. And what happens is the top part of the crystal grows over the size of the base crystal. Okay, so here you can see easily count the 6 sides to the base crystal. Well, you actually have a double scepter. You see this next, let me see. No, I guess single. Okay. I thought that it actually went up 2 steps in sizes, but no. Okay. So here is your base crystal. Then what happens is a crystal grows over the top of it, or this portion of it continues to grow, and this portion, for whatever reason, does not. So that is a scepter. It is actually a very desirable and very rare formation. In almost all minerals, there's a premium for being a scepter. And you can see as the light catches the same plane on both of these, that it is of the same crystal. So that's important for it to be a scepter, is for the larger crystal to be part of the original crystal. And so it's obvious that it followed the exact same C-axis, which is the axis that goes lengthwise with a crystal. And the light reflecting off at the same plane shows you that. All right, now these others crystals often can be popped off. You can actually flake many of these others off, but I don't know if that would be a positive thing. I think it's very sculptural and very attractive the way it is now. Look at that. Look at that neat little 6-sided muscovite crystal on the side. So then look at the beautiful, see the bladed feldspar. That's how you know it's the variety of Clevelandite, when you get the blades in crystalline form like that. So then there is lepidolite. Lepidolite, one more, and we have to find it. Okay, so lepidolite, of course, we know is a mica, and it is pearlescent. And I can see some. Yep. Yep. So here we have, there's actually 2 types of mica. We have muscovite mica, which is the brighter, flakier looking one like that. And then look at this. This is the pearlescent mica that could be white muscovite, but in the form that it's in, not being layered like that, it is lepidolite, which of course we know can be a violet color onto a white color. So you have lepidolite through here. Then the white is Clevelandite. And then you have your amazing scepter aquamarine here. That is a really unique display specimen, and one that, okay, go try to find another. There's just not going to be. I love it down here. Even you have the Clevelandite framing it out. You have a muscovite right at the base. It's a very sculptural piece, is a great way to describe that. So I'm going to put a discount on this, but it certainly isn't. It commands a much higher price than the way I'm going to price this. I'm making it only $178. Only $178. That is a specimen worth, probably put that in an auction. I'd see that go 3 times that amount with no problem. Okay, now, since we're talking about aqua, let me show another funny item. 122-8324. 122-8324. And here is this. Now, I have showed this parcel before, and I am shocked that it has not sold. This one big stone alone. Or look at this one. You've seen this parcel. Look at this one aqua. That's true Santa Maria color. You can compare it to the others. Look at the clarity. Look at these round aquas. Look at how well they're actually cut. Look at that. They are bright. They're brilliant. There is no windows in those, in the finer ones. That one is shocking. And I tested it. Refractive index, done fib, and it was and is an aqua. Look at these. Look at these. These are cut really, really well for brilliance. This one's still having some green. You can play around if you want to Try to heat treat it if you. I don't think you have an oven that goes hot enough for that. Tanzanite, yes. Look at the clarity to that. All right, so this is silly. Well, you know what? Look at the price at the bottom. No one bought it at.
That's crazy.
I don't think, yeah. Well, I'm going to show it. This is the last time. This is the last time I'm going to show it.
That one, but
Yeah. Yeah, the one by itself. I'm just going to show you. Here's the bag where I've marked it down. $38 marked down from 40. I showed it for $38 and no one bought that. No one, yeah. I'm not going lower. So this is the last time I'm showing it at all, and it's for $38, and you can leave it behind. But I can assure you there won't be any other, little garage sale places or any kind of other dealers that you would find this at any level to sell 10 carats for less than $4 a carat. That one aqua, like Chuck said, would easily cover the price, or the one big one. So,
yeah, either one.
yeah, exactly. But yet I should have just pulled it and not offered it for sale at all. So I'm just going one more time. Now, let me show you these. These are awesome. Item 1226524. 1226524. I have sold most of the ones I was willing to sell. And boy, I tell you what, this is another incredible opportunity that I should not offer. Belemnites. Yes, sir. Let me give you that number again. That is item 1226524. Belemnites. Belemnites are related to orthocerises or part of the cephalopod family. Now, what this was a creature. You can see at the end, I'll show you maybe on another one, that they were actually hollow and they had little tentacles that came out of the end of it, like from this end, and they roamed the seas 400 million years ago, up to 100 million years ago or so. And then the dinosaur impact at 66 million years ago finally took care of them. Look at that. So the opal replaced this. Oh, that's what I was looking for. You see that little bit left over from where the soft part of the body is in the middle of this piece. Now this, it's not an opal, remember, it's shell. And, but you can see a little remnant of what would be the center part. That is incredible, beautiful quality. I have this at an amazing opportunity. Take advantage of it if you want a beautiful representation of a crystal Cooper Petey belemnite fossil. I have that at a silly price, really, 5.45 carats. That would have to be worth $54. Make it $48. $48 only. That's an opportunity not to be passed up. Let's look at item 1226824. 1226824. And let me show you this one. Wow. Look at the size of this one. And goodness gracious, look at that. And there is the hollow part right there still. That's where the soft body of the animal. Sometimes this would fill up with sediment and then solidify. In this case, you see a little bit of it. Look how deep that goes, actually. And this is where, its innards were, so to speak, and its little tentacles would come out this end, and it would scoot through the water. This is an amazing crystal, beautiful specimen with a great play of color. Very, very desirable with the end of it like that, being able to see inside it, so to speak. This is a stunning, stunning opportunity. Price on this one? Hate to do it, but I will. It's discounted to only $148. $148. That's what, $12 a carat or so? Wow. And let me see if I have another one to offer. Maybe I do. Let's look at item number 122, 6624. Take a look at this one. Now, fantastic, fantastic opportunity on this specimen. And again, beautiful play of color in it. Beautiful play of color. And a amazing price opportunity. An amazing price opportunity. I'm going to make that one only, goodness gracious, $78. $78. It's one of those things that, you know, I know what kind of value they are. You can see the color in the fire. Buyer beware. Anywhere else, as far as, you know, what you might find on the internet. But I know whatever you find is not going to be that quality for $10 a carat. That is phenomenal. Now, let me show you real quick. I have some remaining carvings of some of those animals that you almost bought all of them of. So let me just go through a few that I have left in case you're interested. And they are discounted. So you might like that as well. This is a kind of a closeout opportunity. Item 1245, 725. 1245, 725. Look at this. Beautiful tiger eye alligator. So if you're maybe you're a sports fan and can relate to that, here's your chance. I actually have a few of these available. So I have more than one. Here's another one. They're all very similar and they're all really high quality. That is the key to these. And you know, I'm going to be picky about the quality of the material used. So I have these. They're only $28 each. $28 each. I think I have a quantity of 4 of those. So $28 each on those. Next, I have, let's see what else we have. Yes, item number 1246 925. 1246 925. And here is, look at that. That's a perfect representation of a tiger for tiger's eye. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. And that stripe right down the middle. The carver really doing a great job on, orienting. Oh, this is what you can do. See it with a piece of tiger eye. So Chuck wants to take up carving, and I highly encourage him to do so. $28 on this. They were $32. I was working really close, but this is a kind of a closeout deal. I have only one of those available. Let me see. Well, hold on. Let me see. Let me make sure. Yeah. Let me see. I have two. So here's 2, which is always neat because you can frame them out. And look at that. Look at the quality of the tiger eye. And that is all the difference in the world. So you might, if you see them less expensive, well, you have to compare quality for quality. And that makes all the difference. Only $28 each on those. And let me see if, here's a third, but I don't like the tail on it, on the third one. I'm picky about that. And these are beautiful. So I have those 2 available there. And then the alligators. Now let me see. These are the ones that I thought were really cool. Let's look at item one of a kinds. Item 124 6325. 124 6325. Now look at this guy. Look at this penguin. Very cool. Rose quartz, $28. $28 on that. Really neat item. And here you go. We need all 4 of those. put them with the one. Yeah. Only $28. Rose quartz. And I love rose quartz. And always check your rose quartz to see if it might star. It's amazing how much rose quartz is in the market that isn't being sold as star rose quartz, but actually is. So I think you should check that. So let's look then at item number 124 6225. 124 6225. So you know, close in number to this guy. And what is it? It is a chevron amethyst penguin. Look at that. I love chevron amethyst, and that very, very high quality. And it represents, of course, crystal growth when you see it like that. And you can see he stands well. And wow, beautiful, beautiful color tone to that. $28 on that as well. He may not stand on that, but he stands on there. He's you know, kind of little, he's walking there and he's one step off. And let me show you then. Let's see. Yep, only have one of those. And this next guy, item number 124 7025. 124 7025. What does that get you? Look at this. Let me. There you go. How does that guy say it? A cobra? Maybe. There we go. Look at that. Look at that. I love amethyst. And this is Brazilian amethyst. And $28 on the cobra. And then let me show you a really unique one. This is item number 124 5925. 124 5925. Look at that. Look at that. A buffalo. Have you been out west? Have you seen the buffaloes are roaming again? Large herds of bison. And it's great to see that back out west. And as the herds continue to grow, they used to say that bison stretched on endlessly. And yeah, that's a sad story in itself. I'm glad to see them coming back. $28. $28 on that one. Only one of. And then the only one of this next guy as well. This is 124 6825. 124 6825. Look at that. And holding the fish. Holding the fish. Indian bloodstone. They call this different things. I'm looking at this, and what I see is hematite. I see hematite. It's heavy, and this is a kind of a you know, what they call bloodstone jasper mixed with it. So just not real sure, because of course they call all kinds of different things bloodstone. But that is, I love the aventurine fish to go with it. $28 on that. Only one of. And let me show you only one of this next one as well. This is item 124 7525. 124 7525. And it is a cat. Look at that. Look at, look, the carver had to do that intentionally. Look, you know, had a plan for that. Look at that nose. I mean, that takes forethought. And, you know, I think it's amazing that for the money, $28 on this, that was actually thought done. Look at that. I mean, it looks like almost painted, and you turn it though, and look at what it does. I mean, that is the amazing thing to the mineral tiger eye. I love it. I love it. And then if you like cats, let me give you one more choice. Item number 124 7425. 124 74. Let's see. Wait, hold on. 124. Yeah, 124 7425. Yeah, you got it right. I'm sorry. You're ahead of me. You're fast. Look at that. The last and only one I have. Look at the chevron amethyst. $28 on this. Last and only one I have like that. And then let's show you the last of this one. 124 7325. a rose quartz, $28 on that guy. Check it for a star. I'm not going to, because if I see a star in it, I'm going to have to say no. I don't even want to know about it. And then let's see what we have here. That'll do it. That'll do it for the animals special. Okay, so we have sold a lot of animals. I know Miss Penny got a good number, and I am grateful for that. And let me show one more item. It'll be the last item of the show. And it is a discount opportunity indeed. Item 123 8724. 123 8724. Look at this Labradorite candy dish, Labradorite, whatever you want to call it. You know, no, in the old days, it would have been an ashtray, but those are the old days, not anymore. They don't even make the little indentations anymore. So candy dish is more appropriate. But look at that. Look at the polish. Look at the Labradorescence in this piece. It's really, that would be something easy for you to do to start off on just make a small little dish. This is wonderful colors all the way around. This is a heavy, significant piece. It could be on your desk for everything from, paper clips to any kind of candy knickknacks or whatever. I keep thinking candy. I do have a bad sweet tooth as I have gotten older. So anyway, here we go. I have this on sale, and which means I have no idea. How much? Go ahead and say it out loud. How much did I have this before? Can you tell? Oh, you can't tell? How much? $305. Okay, it's $305. That just goes to show the value to this. And I have no idea where I'm going with the price on this. I'm just going to wing it. I'm going to make that only $188 as I know. I have no idea. I think I'm probably losing money at that, actually, because this is an item I haven't had for forever. This is something that is newer, and that when I look up what I paid for, I will probably be Latif's still back there. Okay, I guess I hate to end it on a loser, a money loser, but I guess I'm going to have to call it a show. Okay, with that, we'll be right back with the what am I, if I can get enough items together. Here it is. What am I? So this is, we either do the trivia where there's 3 questions, or we do what am I, which is trying to figure out what something is strictly by the way you have purchased everything in this show, by the sound of my voice and by viewing the item. So many times that's about all you get when you're, whether you're in a yard sale, and you have very little information to go on except whatever knowledge that you have. So starting off, this is a mix of items and mix of cut, you'll see. So do your best. So here is the first one, right to left. So I'm just going to wet that and give you an idea. The name doesn't have to be specific. It can be a generic name. Something like this can go by a couple of different names, but we just need kind of the generic name. Now, some of these you may have seen before, but again, let's see if you learn from anything that you've seen and glanced at and learned from. So this is one that you are familiar with. Next, this is a really cool piece. Beautiful, has a nice metallic reflection, and is heavy. What am I? This, you might know what it is. Let's see, for any extra credit, can you tell me where it is from? The next one, it's tumbled, but the color certainly conveys the most common type of look to a valuable piece that it can be. Look at this one. Here is a what is referred to as a mackle shaped crystal. And you see the color. In this next one, I'll hold it up against my hand. You can see the color, and it appears maybe like a couple little inclusions. Work with that. Here is one that you should know what it is, but many people never get to see it in that form. Next, here is something that I received, and I determined the metal is not even silver. And this is why it is buyer beware. This is stamped as being a genuine precious metal, and it is none of that. Yet all the stones are genuine. What am I? This next one, probably an easy one. Here is one that you should probably know. I featured it, something like this not long ago from the same locality, pretty much that this was from. And the crystal form should give you a good idea by now. Then this one, being the last of them, and probably does not need a whole lot of other information than what you have just seen. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 pieces. 12 pieces. And again, there's nothing wrong with getting none of them right, because this is always just based on the amount of knowledge that you have gained and ascertained. And so, it is, though, something that if you do go into the market and buy, it is would behoove you a lot to be able to make very high percentage, not guesses, high percentage of estimating what something is and the value to it. So the more you learn and watch and retain, the better you'll be able to do that, and then go into a place like Burma where everything red is ruby, and you have to discern from many red stones what exactly am I. So there you have it. Let's see. I think some of you out there can go 12 for 12. Why not? I think every possibility is there, and all the information has been given from me to you, and it's just being able to retain it. Now, granted, my 55 years, whatever it is, I lost count of doing this, and traveling also to countries of origin, gives me a little bit of an edge, but just keep with it, keep watching, keep listening, keep taking notes, and you'll be there as well. So I had a wonderful time with you. Really enjoyed the show. Got a lot of items sold or shown, hopefully sold, which brings me to the point of I really appreciate everyone's support in this show, and to keep it here for the 8 years that we've been here, which we actually just the end of April celebrated that. I think Miss Gabby knows about the exact date. So to keep us here and keep us going does take the support of purchasing some things every now and again. I really would appreciate that. Please like and subscribe, because I didn't even know I was supposed to say that or do that until we had 10,000 subscribers already. And they said, do you ever do like and subscribe? I said, what's that? No. I never knew that podcasters encouraged and did that sort of thing. I'm just me, which you get what you see, and I'm not a big promoter. I don't do any social media stuff. None of that. None. Zero. No Facebook, no TikTok, no Instagram, no. I know the names of them if I think about it hard enough, but that's it. So yeah, it keeps it real personal between me and you because this is the only place you can find me. And I so appreciate your support in keeping me here. So, with love and hugs to all of you and the greatest of appreciation. So let's keep this going. And I again always apologize when I miss a show, like I did last week. Believe me, it bothers me to no end to not be here for all of you. Um, because I really appreciate and need all of you. God bless. Take care. And I can't wait to see you next Monday. Cheers.